Welcome, international conference people in India today, a conference on sustainability, global diversity, inclusion, and culture with interdisciplinary perspectives, January 18, 19, 2024. I'm delighted to be here. My name is Curt Bonk from Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. I'm going to talk to you today about diversity, equity, and inclusion, ideas, approaches, and strategies for building diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, within a learning, design, and technology curriculum or in any discipline, to be honest, anywhere you happen to be in the world. My area is online learning, open learning, distance learning, and educational psychology in addition to that. So I'm at the crossroads of the two fields, educational technology and educational psychology. And I hope you've got some ideas from today's talk, maybe one or two. And if you would like more and want to write to me at cjbonk@indiana.edu, that'd be great. And I'd be happy to respond to your emails. If you want the slides, go to Training Share, one word, trainingshare.com, COM, and look at their archived talks, and this will be listed for you to download the slides, and all the hot links are available for you to take a look at and search and find and share with your friends. Again, trainingshare.com, and look under archive talks. If you want my publications, well, you go to publicationshare.com. There's a lot of sharing going on. My website is curtbonk.com, so you can find all that, and I probably should get this talk started. So I'm limited to 20 minutes or so. Yes, 20 minutes. Okay, so let's take a look at these slides that I set up for us today. And as I said, these are just ideas, approaches, and strategies that many people are implementing around the world. I'm not a DI expert at all. I'm an educational psychologist, I'm an instructional technologist, I'm a speaker or writer, but I'm not a DEI expert. Some people say I'm an online learning expert. Well, no one's an online learning expert, knows everything there is. Some people might focus more on inclusion, giving students a genuine sense of belonging and value. Some might focus on equity, fairness, opportunity, and support. Some might focus on diversity and the presence of differences in our cultures. Some look at multicultural education and celebrate that diversity and provide opportunities for it. Some might look more at social justice education and look at the social and political ramifications of policies and actions and raising the students' awareness about inequity in society, in the environment, in economics and politics. Some look at culturally responsive education, focusing on improving the learning capacity of diverse learners who have been marginalized in society, at least in the educational realm. Some are looking at all of those things. And when I started searching for things to put in this talk, I went to UC Santa Cruz, University of California, Santa Cruz, which has a website devoted to thinking about designing learning for multicultural aspects of education. We're thinking about designing learning for students who might have been left out, and particularly focus on universal design for learning and providing multiple means of representation of your contents, providing multiple ways for students to express themselves in their assignments, provide multiple means for engaging those students in your activities, in your discussions, in your classrooms, online, virtual, blended, whatever way you teach or deliver your instruction. How to keep students motivated and maintain their motivation. I also looked at Cornell's website on diverse classrooms, particularly looking at MOOCs or massive open online courses. I only have 3 books on MOOCs. I can't even pronounce it. MOOC, 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 MOOC. I know in India and other parts of the world, you're implementing many MOOCs. I also looked at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, their website on strategies for inclusive teaching. These are all the places I use to get some of the ideas I'm going to share with you. The University of Michigan, just up the road from Indiana, somewhere up to the north of us where it's colder, they have a website on inclusive teaching as well. And they're one of the better websites in the world, actually. It might be worth taking a look at. Their inclusive teaching resources and strategies website and equity-focused teaching website. And in there, you can read about how different case scenarios or examples might provide some insight into what you could do in your particular context, setting the tone for inclusion, what the research says about equity-focused teaching, and so forth. I also went to the University of Colorado at Denver, which has an excellent website on inclusive teaching as well. So does Columbia Teachers College or Columbia University in New York City. That was one of the better ones, and they have many principles that you might take a look at: setting explicit student expectations in one's course, designing the course contents for accessibility, establishing support and rapport with your students to give them a sense of belongingness. This is all part of one of my teaching models I call Tech Variety, which I'll be getting to. So let's give you 20 ways to think about diversity, equity, and inclusion in your classrooms. One way is to be explicit about your expectations and provide examples that students can utilize and feel less stressed about. Show them what the rubrics will be for evaluating their coursework. Show them what previous students have designed and submitted in your class. Number two, allow for multiple topic choices. Let students design their own tasks and let them suggest the papers and topics. Carnegie Mellon University in particular points out that. And in my classes, I often have option A, option B, option C, option D. You pick which option you want. And that is a way in which you can be more inclusive in your instruction. Also providing choice in the format of the task. Find the final task they submit. It could be a podcast show, like my podcast show, silverliningforlearning.org. We've had many shows from India, by the way, on innovative teaching. Oral presentation, it could be a video, it could be a paper. You let students decide. That was number three. Number four, make things low stakes if you can and allow students to redo assignments, retake quizzes, allow for grace periods, allow for deadlines to be flexible in nature. And Carnegie Mellon said that. Many websites did say that. Provide opportunities as students suggest things that you can do. Poll your students and get their content preferences, get their needs, get their concerns across so that you can design curriculum, you can design tasks that fit their expectations and needs. And then provide, again, multiple examples that address different cultures, different groups, or economic backgrounds, and share those different examples with them so they feel like, yeah, I can do that. I can relate to that. I can connect with that. That's something that is in my capability of performing, in my interest area. And encourage full participation in one's class, maybe by handing out note cards for everybody to fill out, or little sticky notes to put on the wall, or utilize ways in which everyone has a choice or a vote or a say. You can use what I call random number generators in getting groups to present. There's a website called random.org in which you can find that on. So there are many ways in which you could hand out little slips of paper to every student and have them do different quotes and readings. You can also hold cultural events, multicultural events, foods of the world. These are all my students who had different foods of the world. You can also have in your classes, you could have hold start and end sessions, brainstorm sessions, so that students feel they have a sense of voice and belongingness and connectedness. And so here we've got in the class, we're bringing students into the class with a marker board, and everyone fills those out and completes the marker board. And then I take a picture of it when they go. And when they've done something that they've accomplished, celebrate that. Have an event. Have some kind of way of recognizing what they've done so everyone feels like they've contributed. Have multiple ways in which students can interact and participate. You could use a breakout room in Zoom like this, or have an outdoor classroom like you see on the right there. Those are my students in an outdoor classroom or an indoor classroom. Many ways in which one feels like they're part of an event, an experience, a community of learners. You want to build communities, and that's one way to build a more inclusive, more equitable, more diverse, and embrace that diversity. Also, we want to foster ways to build diverse perspectives in one's classroom. And so you might have what's called a structured controversy, where students take multiple points of view or other side of an argument and then switch sides of the argument. Or have students post the most muddiest or confusing points that on the material and then trying to respond to them. That students have a say on what's been confusing and how you could clarify, and fostering that sense of clarity. Having students post questions, whether in a blog post or a journal or notes on the readings or note cards, and then sharing those questions with each other and trying to answer them, and or just posting on a website like Padlet or Jamboard, which are free tools where students can post their questions and share their questions with one another digitally, and you can then share them for the next semester. In fact, have students do a think, pair, share with a buddy, with a neighbor, and share their concerns, their questions, their insights. Have them in some kind of a roundtable activity or circular activity, sharing their ideas and concerns with one another, or their questions, and ask each other those questions. Instead of just the instructor, ask their peers what their concerns are. You might have ways within the class where you can have icebreakers and have students who introduce themselves with these icebreakers every week and find out something additional about their interests and their values and their expectations and commitments and concerns. You also want to emphasize the big picture, the overriding view, the purpose behind what you're doing in the task. When you build in a sense of purpose, students will be invited into your class. They're more likely to participate in the activities that are ongoing within your classroom settings. So relevance and big picture and value are critical within one's classroom to accept what the mission you're on, and they'll buy into it. And make those course contents available in multiple formats. So there's PDF or text-to-speech or audiobooks, podcasts or print. You're creating additional accessibilities for people who might be visually impaired or hearing impaired or some other concern that they might have. And use both asynchronous environments, quizzes, polls, and audio recordings, and lectures and PowerPoint slides online, as well as live, like these asynchronous sessions that you can get to know one another with live polling and instant messaging. And number 20, invite students in to share resources and share their values and what they've produced, and then save those in a gallery of best student work. That's from Columbia University. So sharing resources is critical today. Those are 20 ideas. I've got 4 different models I'll quickly mention before I close. One model is called Education 2020, in which the instructor can be one of 20 different roles, be it a community organizer or a counselor or a caregiver or a coach. And they might take on 20 different roles or principles within that setting. You might have a more flexibility principle or collegiality principle or sharing or choice or options. These are all principles of learning. There are 20 of them here. I call this Education 2020. 20 roles of instructors, 20 principles of learning. I also have a model called Tech Variety, which is based on motivational principles. Tech Variety is 10 principles: tone, encouragement, curiosity, tech, variety, autonomy, relevance, interactivity, engagement, tension, and yielding products. We have a free book, techvariety.com. It's available in Chinese and in English, and you can download it right now, or the new book, Motivating and Supporting Learners Online, also free. Both have 100 activities in them. Both are free to download. And both are available on my website, curtbonk.com, or go to techvariety.com, or other places you can download. My colleague, Elaine Coe, is on the left in New Zealand. I'm in the middle there, and we worked for a number of years on this project. There are activities and different jigsaw activities or ways of encouraging learning to happen. You might have flipping the classroom or brainstorming or mind mapping, all these different activities in the Tech Variety model. You might just have course introductions using a web tool called Padlet or Jamboard, like I mentioned, and just having sticky notes online to brainstorm ideas or reverse brainstorm those ideas. Or have students listen to podcast shows or webcast shows and reflect on their learning, like my webcast show, Silver Lining for Learning, which you see a couple examples of here. We've had penguin researchers on, Antarctic researchers last week, in fact. People in Nepal have been on our show, kids in Nepal learning English, all sorts of interesting things, students in Afghanistan, students in Bangladesh, and so forth. Anyways, making things relevant, having cases online to learn from, like this case of a student learning from MIT, OpenCourseWare, or this student who's utilizing a YouTube playlist of videos, recordings, and selecting which videos best apply to her. Because I bring in guests every week to my class. I bring in authors to interview. I bring in researchers to interview. I bring in guest experts and all sorts of things. And we ask them questions about their careers, about an idea, about their books. And I make the course relevant then to my students. And then, we always want to have opportunities to share what students have produced. Maybe it's in Canva, like an infographic or brochure. So principle number 10 of Tech Variety is yielding products. Again, tone, encouragement, curiosity, variety, and so forth. These are the 10 principles of Tech Variety that I want you to think about utilizing in your classroom. My other model is called R2D2, read, reflect, display, and do. I'll just briefly mention this is not a learning style model, but it's a way of thinking about utilizing all aspects of the web to teach from, whether it's words or auditory expressions and sharing those, or whether it's text to speech, text to audio, or whether it's infographics in observational learning, watching something, interpreting infographics, and so forth, or whether it's seeing something in a flowchart, a diagram, a picture, or a demonstration, like a short video in which you might anchor instruction from, or maybe getting students involved in tactile kinesthetic learning, like role play, simulations, and movement, hands-on types of learning. Have students design something and share that as a final product in one's class. So we want to build creativity in one's class. We want to build motivation. We want to build opportunities to share what students have done in your class. Critical thinking, maybe Venn diagrams or comparisons and contrasts. Creative thinking, maybe brainstorm kinds of lists and so forth. Collaboration, teamwork in Zoom. There's all sorts of ways that one can build a more engaging environment to address diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are just a few. I've given you some frameworks, I've given you some ideas, as well as some websites from other universities that you might now tap into on your own. This might be an opportune time for you to share with your colleagues. My website is listed there, curtbonk.com. My email is there, cjbonk@indiana.edu. My slides are at trainingshare.com, publications at publicationshare.com. I hope you've enjoyed this talk this morning, and I wish you well and having a great conference there. Please don't hesitate to contact me. Best wishes to everyone on your journey into the world of greater interactivity, collaboration, and engagement for the diverse learners of this world. Bye now.